Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Beyond Borders Australian Success, presented by JICS. And today we have someone extremely special to not just me, but to all of us. Today we have cricket legend, entertainer, as well as a business person, and he's none other than Bradley.
Hello, Pri.
Hi.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. And we also have our managing director of JICS, Aman Sethi, with us.
Hello, Pri, and you forgot JICS Brand Ambassador. Very important to add that to the top.
Good to see you again, mate.
Good to see you.
Yeah, so coming back to whatever just Aman mentioned, this was supposed to be my first question, but he ruined it. Aman, like my entire childhood, if I knew about Australia, I knew 5 people. Brett was one of them. How did you manage? Like, Brett, how did you decide to be the brand ambassador of JICS? It's such a privilege for
Yeah, well, look, firstly, great to be here. Great to see you both again. Look, it was a very organic way that it happened. It was a natural transition. We met. I obviously knew what JICS were doing and knew about their background, but I just love what their passion was, and it's like helping people, like allowing people to fulfill their dreams. Everyone knows, I guess, that if they watch a bit of cricket, they know my love and passion for the subcontinent, especially India. I've been to India so many times, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, just to mention a few countries. But it was the passion that they've got to try and help people to get over to Australia and to do it in one seamless way. And I thought, well, I love what JICS do. I love their mantra. I love what they believe in. And I thought, well, I'd like to be a part of that.
Right, and how did you convince?
Yeah, look, in terms of convincing, I think it took about 6 months of talking and making sure that, everyone shared the same values, we had the same vision. And I think the first time that we met Brett to discuss this option, like we straight away saw that he had a big passion for, the migrant community in Australia. And he obviously has close ties with the subcontinent across many countries, and we felt that his values and what he stands for aligned really well with the JICS values and what we stand for. So there was a like you said, quite a natural progression and conversation that we had, which then led us to him coming on board.
I think the other thing too is that where I grew up, 2 hours south of Sydney, so 2 hours down the road from here, little place called Mount Warrigal. No one's heard of Mount Warrigal. People have heard of Wollongong.
Oh yeah.
Or some people have, some haven't. But it was a very multicultural place to grow up because it's the port there. Port Kembla had a lot of skilled migrants come over in the 60s and 70s. And to grow up with Indian mates and Pakistani mates and back then Yugoslav sort of heritage. But it wasn't that. They were just mates.
Yeah.
And that was the way that we grew up. And that was the way that my parents had always, brought us up, was hair colour, skin colour, eye colour. I keep saying those 3 things. Everyone's the same. So for me, growing up with different heritage around me was normal. And it's funny that when you go and visit other places and certainly other parts of the state, and it's generally a Caucasian sort of, stock standard, what they believe was the Australian 60s and 70s way, which is not the case. I'm so proud that Australians so multicultural. And that was a huge reason as well because of my upbringing. And then obviously with cricket going to India a lot and different parts of the subcontinent, it was a natural transition.
Right. And before we had social media, like I mentioned, I only knew 5 people from Australia.
Who were the other 4?
Guess.
I'm intrigued.
Crocodile Dundee.
Don Bradman.
Yeah, like and then everybody had the same skin color, the same hair.
Yep.
And it took me a while to understand how diverse Australia was after social media was, in our hand. And as you grew up here, you saw diversity just increase more and more, right? How about in sports?
Well, look, if you look at the current Australian cricket team, our opening batsman, and I'm not trying to sort of like a prelude to what's going to happen for the Ashes coming up, but if you look at who may take the first test on November 21st in Perth, a Pakistani-born Usman Khawaja, who's Australian, and a gentleman with Greek heritage in Sam Constance. So Greek-Australian, Pakistan blood, playing for Australia. I love it.
Yeah.
And it's so healthy that, and you think about with the young Indian community, especially here, filming here in Parramatta, there's a massive community here, And you will see, I promise you, the next 2 or 3 years, you're going to see a lot more of the Indian heritage Aussies that will come through to play state cricket. We're seeing it now, but playing for higher honours.
And that's historically that hasn't been the case. So I think it's the second and the third generation that's really, getting the training now at the right levels, and they've got the talent, but now they're getting through the systems at an early age and then getting to the international level, I guess.
Mm. And you look at, what's going on the sort of circuit now with running with Gout, 17 years of age, and he's mixing it with the best. So we've got different cultures, diversity plus that's happening here in Australia, and that's healthy for Australia.
Right. And on the other part of the world, we are also getting a little diverse because we have Brett Lee as our Bollywood star. Tell us something about that.
Well, when you play sport over in the subcontinent, the first thing that people love, they love cricket in India and they love Bollywood.
Yes.
And they generally go hand in hand. We've got the appreciation. Look, my love, and I'm giving probably a bit too much away here, but my first passion was music.
Right.
But if I could have picked to be a cricketer or a rock star, I would have picked rock star. But
would you both?
No, I wish. But yeah, cricket came a bit more naturally to me. But yeah, I just love what Bollywood stands for. It's absolute controlled chaos is probably a nice way to put it.
How so?
Well, it's just high energy. It's there's a lot of dancing and singing, and the storylines are fantastic. And even if you don't speak or even know fluent Hindi, especially through the Bollywood sector, then you go down to Tollywood, and you got down south as well, which is massive.
Right.
A lot of different cultures and different dialects down there. Tamil is massive in that sort of industry. But if you've got the subtitles up and you get the storyline, it's pretty enjoyable to watch. But yeah.
Did you do some training in dancing?
Well, they always try and get you to dance. The first thing that when you're over in India and you're on stage, can you dance? Or they throw a guitar in your face, sing us a song, have a jam, they say. But it's different. I love playing music, but I like to know what I'm playing first before I get up there. And
right.
I don't just jam. I like to play chords and muck around. But yeah, to be the sort of sitting back and just chilling is what I like doing.
And do you have any favorite Bollywood song?
Well, if you look at the Bollywood songs, anything that, well, firstly, Asha Bhosle, she has had a huge influence on Bollywood singers. She's been in the industry for over 50 odd years now, maybe 60 years, and still going from what I hear. And her late sister, who was an absolute legend, and she was absolutely fantastic. But the chance to perform a song with Asha Bhosle and to do that, and that's something different. So, I think that's why India appreciate me. And I think and I'm so lucky the fact that because I've done things a little bit different than most other people, it's not just cricket. I like other things. So not just a fast bowler. I've got like a lot of other interests. And, I guess bringing it back to the reason why we're here today is to give people opportunity. And so many great skilled migrants that want to have the opportunity to go elsewhere and go, leave their shores of the subcontinent and go, whether it's to Canada or whether it's to go to the States. We want them to come to Australia, and that's what we're trying to provide, the opportunity.
Right. We had this audience poll, and we asked a few questions, and here are some selected ones.
Right.
Aman, do you want to take a few of them?
Yeah, sure. We'll pass it to me. Okay.
It's like a hat.
And I'll take a few.
Okay, so the first one that we have...
Do you mind mentioning the names? Because I think they feel special if you do.
Yeah, the first one is from Fahad. So he wants to know, how did you bowl so fast? Can you let us know your secret?
Fahad, well, hello, firstly. Not sure exactly where you're from, but hope you're having a good day, mate. The secret to bowling, you have to be coordinated. You've got to be a good athlete. And I'm talking about being a fast bowler. So you've got bowlers that can bowl 130 to 140 Ks, but you've got to be a good sprinter. So without giving too much away, the secret where I could get to 160 Ks was because, thanks to my mother, who was an athlete, she was a sprinter.
Oh, wow.
So mum luckily passed on some
good genes.
some fast twitch fibers, some good genes. My dad will argue say it came from him. And they would have the always muck around with having 3 boys in the family. But, definitely I think to be a good fast bowler, you have to be a good sprinter. So that'd be my advice.
Awesome.
Next is from Muhammad. Of course, Bradley is one of my most favorite players. Can you ask him which spell is his favorite?
Hello, Mohammed. What spell has been my favourite? Look, I've had some spells that I've been super pleased with. There's been some spells where I've just been in absolute awe, and doesn't mean that I've taken wickets, doesn't mean I've been successful. It's probably the times when the batsmen have been on top. I remember bowling to, it was in Trinidad, early 2000s, bowling to the great Brian Charles Lara from West Indies, who I put up there with Sachin Tendulkar as the best batsman that I've ever played against. And for 2 hours in the heat, I gave it to him. I gave everything that I had. I bounced him. He was in the 90s. He never scored 100 on home soil. I didn't get him out. He got his 100, but we both said after game, and even 20 years down the track, that he thinks that was one of the best spells he faced. To me, it was one of the best spells that I bowled against the guy on top of his game. And we just literally, there was not a lot of runs scored. Didn't take his wicket, but it was 2 hours of fun.
Amazing. Aman, you want to go ahead with the next?
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Did you just pick one?
I'll ask you one off
Grab
the
a couple,
cuff,
mate.
maybe. So, yeah. So with the recent times, we've seen sledging come back. So we saw
Gamesmanship.
gamesmanship has come back.
No, we call it sledging.
And it had gone quiet for a while, and obviously after the golden era where it was prominent, and now we're starting to see it come back. So a couple of questions. One is, what is your favorite sledge? And 2 is, what do you think of it generally? Is it good for the game?
Well, look, sledging is a big important part of the game. Now, we all know there are lines in the sand, and you should learn that when you're 3 years of age. If you're an athlete, and the other thing too, what I will mention is that just because you're playing for your state or playing for your country doesn't make you a role model. You can choose to be a role model. I wanted to be a role model. I wanted to make a difference and to try and be a good inspiration for the young kids coming through. But just because you're playing doesn't mean that you necessarily are a role model. But what I believed in was no swearing, or and it's sometimes very hard in the field because you're playing for your country, and certainly no room for racial vilification. They are the 2 no-nos. So don't let the kids hear any swearing, because you try to sort of look after the young generation coming through and respect, the opposition. Other than that, it's game on. So you're trying to put the batsman off his game in order to try and take the wicket. And most times, I would say 99% of the time, it's actually funny. I remember saying to VVS Lakshman, playing against him, and every time he played against us, it felt like he got 100. And I was bowling at him at the whacker, and the ball's flying through. There was a breeze behind me. I felt comfortable, and I could see in his eyes that he was a little bit nervous. And so I just realised what your name stands for. And I'm like, to his face, and we're mates. We've been playing each other since under 19s for Australia versus India. He's like, what do you mean? I said, I know what your initials stand for in your name, VVS. He goes, what? I said, very, very scared. And he bursts out laughing. And that to me was, and everyone's going, what did you say to him? He started laughing. Was it sledging? I said, well, it is sort of sledging. And then, next over, I think someone got him out. I don't know. I can't remember if I got him out or if someone else did. But it's just, you get them off the game for 2 seconds. And that's what sledging is.
Yeah, famous one I remember is, I think, was it Ian Healy to Arjuna Ranatunga? We'll put a Mars bar at good length and then stomp him out or something. There was some...
See if he leaves his crease. And then he said, but I'm a bit more worried about David Boone at short leg. He might get the Mars bar first. Fun stuff. Fun stuff.
I think this question is a little bit similar, but again.
Okay.
Mahfuz Bipsu asked, what is his most memorable memory in his cricket life?
Oh,
that's huge.
That's a good one. Look, I think it would have been November of 1999, and I was watching the test match. It was Australia versus Pakistan, and it was a test where the Aussies won down at Hobart. It was Scott Muller's first game. And, Shoalback was bowling like the wind, and I still remember watching it. And then my roommate, Corey Richards, who played for New South Wales, hello, Corey, if you're listening in, he said, I bet you get the call up for Australia, because there's a bit of word on the street that, I'd played a few games for New South Wales, got a few wickets back-to-back, and he said, I reckon you'll get the call up. And then literally about an hour, the phone rang, and back then it was the ACB, the Australian Cricket Board back then, rather than Cricket Australia. And they said, it's such and such here from Cricket Australia. Just to let you know, you're in the next test match to go to Perth. You have to be at the airport. And I'm trying to write all the stuff down. I'm so excited. My mate's cracked a beer for me. That moment of getting told that you're going to represent your country or you're in the squad was unbelievable, and the fact that I didn't play that first test, thank God, because it was against Shoalback. They were bowling so quick at the Wacker. Then the next test was in Adelaide, which they picked 2 spinners, and then I made my test against India, my test debut, 99 Boxing Day test in Melbourne. So I had to sort of wait a month to get that call up again. But yeah, very special.
That leads to another question. I know you just mentioned that to be a role model, you don't have to be in a specific profession. But also, I mean, it does make a difference, right? Like when you're playing and you're representing so many people, you naturally become patriotic because you are the face of Australia.
I think it depends on your personality too. Like I always wanted to play the game. I'd push the boundary, but I'd play fair. I would rather lose a game than be called a cheat. Cheating is not in my vocabulary. You play as hard as you possibly can. You push the boundary. You do what you can to get a win legally. And if you're not good on the day, well, then you shake hands and have a beer after the game and say, look, India was too good today. England was too good. Hopefully they won't be too good this year. But that's all part of the game, and that's what I love about sport. So, yeah, and the chance to be a role model in front of hundreds of people, thousands of people, millions of people is what an amazing opportunity, and what a gift. If you can have that gift to be able to do that, then it's pretty special.
So something you mentioned there, I mean, we've always known Australian teams are very good under pressure. So whether, they're about to lose and then, like last time Glenn Maxwell came out and scored that 100 against Afghanistan or, always seem to find a way to win Australia. So what is that? Is it DNA? Is it something that the team would prepare for? How does that work?
It's a great question because I think it's in the Australian culture. And when I say the Australian culture, it's what we all believe in. If you've spent 5 years here in Australia, 10 years, you were born here, you came here when you're 3, 10, 5, 15 years of age, whatever it might be, you spend enough time in Australia, and that's the Australian culture, is that never say die attitude. It is it's known all over the world. The teams that I've played against, they've always feared that there might be 3 wickets in the last over that's needed in a test match. And to get 3 wickets in a session in 2 hours is pretty unlikely. To get 3 wickets in an hour, unlike 3 hours and 3 wickets in an over, is very unlikely. But we did that against India once to win the game off the last over of a match.
Were they all out though? That's the question. Or was there a couple of dodgy decisions in there?
I always say, look, just read the paper in the morning and see what the paper said. See? You got to be quick, right? You got to be like, come on, you got to be better than that.
Oh, man, you're in charge of reading, not making...
No, but look, it's a very, very good question because the way that I was brought up is that you literally lay everything on the line. And I'd rather leave the cricket ground absolutely exhausted. Like you leave it all out there. And the other thing too, the old saying, what happens on the field stays on the field. Now, it does. Well, in my opinion, it does. So what happens out there, you leave it out there, you shake hands, you have a glass of water or a cold beer after the match, get on with it.
At JICS, what happens in the field is my next day message. All my Indian colleagues.
Well, there you go. But like, I think in all seriousness, you have to learn from those experiences. And that's what life's about. Life's about experiences. Life is about learning. We're all going this journey. And that's the thing. Whether, I'm a parent, I'm got 3 beautiful kids, but it's also my first time on this earth. like everyone's going through it the first time. You have to, and you make mistakes and you learn from them and you find a way to get better. And that's what the exciting thing about life is that you have these moments and these things that shape you.
Right. Do you mind taking the last one? Because Aman is not being much of help.
There we go, sir.
He's just asking his own questions.
Here we go. Why? So, how come Aussie players are so mentally strong?
I think we just
we
covered it.
that one.
Sort of did
We'll
that as
give you
part of their training. So, good question, but we answered it.
So this one is a good one from Alaves. How did you get the name Binga?
Yeah, well, I always thought that Bing Lee, which is a chain of electrical stores, that was all over Australia. It's only New South Wales. I never knew that until I went interstate. And I wish I had a better answer. I wish I had a more intriguing way to explain a nickname, but that was it. It was Bing Lee, and Bing became Binger. I think from year 6 at school, they used to call me Bing. So my brother Shane, he would get Meadow, as in Meadow Lee, the margarine. Younger brother Grant would get Bruce. We've had Sarah Lee, Sophie Lee. Older brother got called Ugg a few times, Ugly. Oakley, just, Lee. Because the actual funny thing is as well, like, I remember as a kid growing up, and we love all different types of food. A lot of Indian food, Chinese food, Thai. And I remember Mum and Dad would send me down, they would order on the phone. I'd get on the bike and I'd go down and pick up the Chinese takeaway food. And I'd be really nervous. I'd be 13 years of age and I'd be waiting there, and about half an hour later, they're like, "Can I help you?" I said, "Yeah, pick up for Lee." "Oh, that's you?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's me."
They didn't believe you, did they?
No, they didn't believe me.
No.
Show some ID. Nah. But, yeah, it was good moments and good memories.
I think you told me this. I knew the Binga, the story behind Binga.
So with I guess your relationship with the migrant community both in Australia and overseas. So how's it come about? Was it a conscious decision? Was it something that happened through your experiences? Maybe tell us a little bit about how that closeness has come about.
Yeah, look, I was playing. I was 16 years of age. I got called into the under-17s Australian side, and from memory, that was just a nominated side. We never toured. But the under-19s actually was a physical side. They got picked on paper, but then toured. And they boosted me up from the under-17s to the 19. So I was doing my HSC, and I've been picked in my first under-19s Australian side, opportunity to represent my country for the first time, and we're touring India. So I'm like, how good is this? And my parents were like, "You're doing your HSC. What do we do here? Do we let him go? Does he chase his dream? Does he do his HSC?" And they were like, "Follow your dream, follow your passion, but take your school books with you."
Wow.
I promise you, Mum and Dad, I opened the school books a couple of times. Not really. But that was that first memory to go to India. And I had 2.5 months over in India. And straight away there was this love and passion for the Indian culture, just the way that they treated us. And look, it was a different tour. It was a hard tour. We didn't stay at the hotels where we stay now. There were no fancy team buses, fancy dinners at night. We would catch a tuk-tuk down at training to the game, shove your cricket bag in the back. It was proper. This is back in 1994. And India's changed a lot. Like from 94 to 2000 changed massive. And you fast forward to 2025, some of the best hotels in the world in India. But I came back and I said to Mum and Dad, "This place is incredible. The people are so warm and friendly." And it just struck a chord with me. And then I kept going back. I kept going back after each time. And would have been late 90s, early 2000, I was one of, in their term, and I saw it in the paper somewhere, the first Farangi, the first foreigner, the first Gora Farangi, the white foreigner in their terms, to be with a local Indian brand. And it hadn't been done before. So it was the first time they branched out to get a foreigner in to do some stuff on their home soil, and I was for the first to do that. And to me, that was so exciting. And then it just became grew and grew, a bit like a snowball effect. And I love it. I love the subcontinent.
Share some of your interesting experiences.
It is, I said organised chaos before and about Bollywood, but that's India. That's what I love about it. The energy, the excitement. And when I say India, like I've spent, as I said, all over, Asia, but India's where I've been the most. So that's sort of where I've got most of the memories from. You sort of get to the hotel room, you'd play Indian Premier League match, you get back to the hotel, 10,000 people waiting outside to see the team, 5,000 inside the foyer. It's this massive people we're not used to, and especially being from more of a rural country area, if you like to call it that, where I was born 2 hours down the south coast. To see this amount of people was different, but the energy. And, they say that, New York's the city that never sleeps, like Mumbai. I urge anyone that's never been to Mumbai or been to India, get there on any night of the week. It's bustling. It's happening. And you see some funny things. You see some exciting things. You dodge the cows as you're driving down the road. It's cool. There's always something going on.
And the funny thing was last year we were with Brett in Mumbai, in Bandra, in a hotel, and Brett literally had to walk 50 meters from the car that he got out of to the hotel lobby. And it took about 1.5 hours because, people noticed that it was him, and they, one photo after the other, one selfie after the other. And you were able to do it with, so much patience and grace.
Oh, thanks, mate.
Is that something that, again, it's something that comes naturally for you, or?
Well, no, look, the way that I look at it, and I remember I got my first autograph when I was about 14, and the first time I'd ever been to a test match, I was actually playing in it. But I went to go watch a Sheffield Shield match when I was about 14, and there was a player called Steve Smith, not the current Steve Smith, but another ex-New South Wales player. And I lined up like the other kids were, and I had a scrap bit of paper or something that it's not about what I've realised. It's not the piece of paper that they like. It's the moment that they want to share.
Yeah.
So don't, and this would be my advice to anyone that's got the opportunity and the privilege to make someone feel good, don't just sign it and don't even look at them. Like, they want this interaction. They want this moment. They want to have the quick conversation. Now, you can't have a minute conversation with each person because you'll be there for 10 hours. But give them the time of day, look them in the eye and have a quick little chat. But I remember him saying, what's your dream? Oh, I said, I want to bowl 160 Ks. He's like, that's pretty specific. Good luck, mate. Wish you all the best.
Oh, sweet.
And it would have been funny that if he would have just fobbed me off and went, see you, mate. Nah, I'm done now. I'm not sure how that would have been from my point of view, but because my first moment was a positive one, I thought at that age, if I ever get the opportunity to make someone feel special the way I felt, I'm definitely going to do that. And so for me, the moral of the story is that whether you're the first person or the 100th, the 100th person is still to be the first person because they've waited. And just because you're getting tired or you're getting late, and there's times where you just sort of go, guys, I've got to get on the flight, I've got to get on the bus, I've got to get in the car, I've got to go, I've got to get training. You can't do every single one, right? But as long as you apologise and then you've got a reason, then that's fine, and you can't do every single thing that you try. But if you take that moment with them, it just makes them feel special. And yeah, I think that if you ever want to boost your ego as a former Australian cricketer, go over to India for a week.
So the last thing we want to mention, if Aman doesn't have any other questions, the whole focus of this podcast is talking about Australian dreams, Australian success. How much of the World Cup is Australian dream?
To play in a World Cup in any fixture?
Winning the World Cup.
I'll win the World Cup. Well,
the cup itself.
Look, I was very fortunate to be in what I considered a great side. Like, I was in an unbelievable side in early 2000. And for us to lift the trophy, the World Cup trophy in 2003 in Johannesburg against India. Sorry, guys. That was special because we worked so hard for it. We played 9 or 10 games, whatever it was. We did not lose a match. It was a clinical win. We trained so hard. that moment, you have to embrace those moments. And, I guess the best way to explain it, and my best advice for young boys and girls that are listening in, is life, but sport in general. Sport and business are very, very similar, okay? And what I've learned in sport, I now use in business sense. I now use in the stage 2 or the second innings of my life. But the most important thing that I've learned is what I call the emotional wave. Now, if you are like this your whole life, it's going to be a roller coaster, as it looks like it is. So what I'm trying to explain is that when you win the World Cup, absolutely enjoy it. You've earned that right to enjoy it. But you don't go around and go, I'm the best in the world and I've done this and I've done that. Quietly, internally go, yeah, I've done very well. I'm happy. I'm proud. I'm stoked that we won the World Cup. When you lose the World Cup or you haven't made the finals, don't be too hard on yourself. Learn from it. And it sucks. It sucks when you lose. As an athlete, you have to have that in you. You have to not want to lose. Like in business, I do not want to lose. I want to win. And I don't care what anyone says. I'm here to win. I'm not here to lose. I'm not here to come second. I'm here to win. But you learn from your errors, learn from your mistakes, and learn from what actually happens from that. And what I'm trying to say, that like emotional wave, compress it. So rather than this, do that. And if you can drain that out and sustain that over a long period of time, you'll be in a much better place, because you're not going to be your highest of highs and lowest of lows. So compress that emotional wave. Enjoy it.
Amazing. And as the brand ambassador of JICS, what message do you have to share with our audience?
Well, look, I think that I'm once again in a very fortunate position where I can be proud to be, the JICS global ambassador. It's incredible, the fact that we get the opportunity to help people on their journey. And if we collectively, and us through what we're doing today in the podcast, can educate people, help people on their journey, just give them a leg up, that makes you feel so good. They always say that the most selfish thing in life is to give, because it makes you feel good. And if you actually look at what you can do and put in, you can sleep well at night. But yeah, I'm pumped to be part of this journey of what JICS are doing and what the belief is. And as I said, with Aman and what he's achieved and his company and what they continue to do is provide people with that opportunity that no one else is doing. So, you want to align yourself with the best, and great to be here. I've loved every single moment of it.
Thank you so much, Brett, Aman, for coming to another podcast. We loved having you. Aman, do you want to say something?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I guess probably last question from my side. But,
no.
people always, when they're looking to move overseas, they're looking at Australia, England, US,
Come to
Canada. Why Australia, Brett?
Why? I'm very patriotic. Australia is where I was born. I'm a proud Aussie. In all honesty, I think the culture here is right. I think the culture's spot on. I think the harmony here in Australia is it's safe. Safe's a very important thing, and that's a thing. A lot of questions I get asked, especially from the subcontinent, is Australia safe? Absolutely. Do they embrace people with subcontinent heritage? Absolutely. We think about now, just here in Australia, I mean, there's over 1 million Indian heritage people.
Are there opportunities? Absolutely.
Everything. Like if you want to come to a place where you feel comfortable, you can make a difference, you'll have opportunity to succeed and be successful, and people appreciate that success, Australia's a place. I've got nothing against America, nothing against England, been there multiple times, but
we just love Australia.
Australia's where it's at. So come over here, get in contact with the team, they'll look after you, and we'll have some fun together.
Great. You have heard our brand ambassador say whatever he needs to say. And thank you so much for watching another episode, and see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.